Alright. And we're live. Right. So, hello everyone, it's me again. So basically what this stream is about is we had two previous streams before this where essentially we are working on the redo or the remaking of Tier 3 Mordor. And so if you weren't here for the last two streams, we essentially made and textured this helmet and this helmet. And now we're going to work on a third, which I'll bring up the reference right now. We'll work on this helmet today. Right, and once again, let me know or tell me if there's any problem with the noise or the volume. You know, if I'm quiet or something, just tell me. But if not, let's just get right into it, and we'll start with modeling this helmet. We've got quite a few references here that we can always check out. The idea is to go for some more simpler kind of helmets. Something like this almost. You see it pretty often where we don't really have a helmet, so we only have a few helmets where there's something covering the eyes. So we're going to have this helmet, this helmet, this helmet, and then I'll get one more where there's an open face. Maybe something super simple, like maybe just this one, just a simple kind of cap. One of these, because I'm seeing these often. It's just a simple open face cap kind of helmet. So regardless, let's just get started. So for those who have never seen this before, this is the same procedure as always. I'm just going to take my cube, gonna add a subdivision surface, and gonna apply it, and then I'm just gonna cut off all the parts I don't want so I can mirror it, so I can just work faster. So I don't need these three quadrants. And then I will put a mirror. Turn on clipping. This will basically keep it firm down the middle. Like the middle can't separate. These will always be connected. And then, yeah, from there just kind of scale it and bring it to size. Same thing we've always done, really. Okay. I think we are starting to get there. Scale it up a bit. Rotate on the X. Negative 15 degrees. Actually, let's rotate it back 5 degrees. Oops. So it's about 10 degrees inclined, just because every helmet is usually kind of inclined a bit. And alright. One second, okay. Alright, I haven't seen chat. Okay, now I can see chat, okay. Hello Frusty. Simple bowl helmet, yep. Hello Sebastian. Hello Andrew. When are you planning to create wards? Not anytime soon. Keep up the good work, thank you. And this is a great shot, yeah. Return of the King of this helmet. And the Rohan charge for reference. Yeah. I think I'm fine with what I have for now in terms of references. I can always get more, but I basically have all my helmets figured out essentially. Unless there is some helmet that I'm missing out on that you guys are adamant that I should make, then for now I will keep it as is. Alex, am I saying your name right? Alex Prieto. What factions will be in the mod? Well, we have a Trello. It's just this kind of board where we post all our information, sort of, or has a lot of the information about the mod, and it's in the description of this stream, and in there are all the planned factions and units for those factions. So everything you could ever want, is there. So just look in the description and you should have it. Yeah, Andrew basically answered for me. Right, so just sort of getting this thing back into shape, essentially. This is sort of normal routine. And then it's looking like here, it's tucked behind the ears. So I'm guessing this is supposed to be hair on the side here, not just like leather straps. So yeah, it's just hair, which we don't have so far. So I might consider doing a leather strap of some sort, but it would complicate the rigging, and I'm also not really seeing many leather straps anywhere in the concepts. This guy has a strap, but that's about it. But for this helmet, it's not looking like there are any straps or any sort of accessories on the helmet so far, so that we won't do that then. What do you mean with rework? Is this for more variation in the unit, or is the current tier 3 orc equipment replaced? Yeah, this is going to completely replace tier 3. So the current tier 3 you have, that's all probably going to be scrapped, unless we find some other use for it. But that's that armor is gone, as far as I'm concerned. I would say I have a large say on it because I'm the one who made that armor, and my say is probably gonna get thrown away because we're making new armor right here. Yeah, we should air to the hair will come later, I think, because I'm going to be working on the variations next. Like you guys requested that I make more orc faces, so that's probably what I'll be doing after I finish this unit. So yeah, I might also just work on hair as well, but I've never done hair before, so that'll be something I'll have to learn. So it might take a bit of a while, because the way it seems to be done is really strange, because you can't like if you're asked to model hair, like how do you do that, right? It's it's a really weird method with just a lot of texture tricks. But yeah, it'll be added in the future, I think. For now, I'm just working. Yeah, I'm just gonna finish this unit, and right now what I'm doing is just creating the kind of that circle piece around the eyes. So I'm just getting a little frame layout almost. And then what I'll probably do is something like this. Alright. So yeah, right now I'm simply just making the piece around the eyes. Okay. Just gonna go in a circle here like this. Extrude out. Get those pieces. And then obviously I have to fix this, put it all into correct perspective, because on a scale of 1 to 10, how ugly be those orcs, They'll be nasty, don't worry. They'll be gross. I like the sculpting part, you know, I enjoy making the faces. I did make the Morgul orcs face. I don't know if you guys would be able to recognize them, but there is another variation of the Morgul Legion faces. Sorry, there's a bit of variation. There's a few. There's one face I made, and I made the Black Numenorian face, like the Mouth of Sauron. Get this up close to the eyes. I am making the helmet on the far right correct. Just need to get this this thing here right. Okay, I don't want this too sunken in, because this is almost like flat. It's like flush with the. So I just need to make sure that's the case. I also kind of want this to be nice and smooth semicircle. So it's looking like there's a bit of room for the nose. Also, I got to make sure these helmets work with other head variations, right? And then it's also round, so I'm gonna have to add some details here. I have an idea. So let's go like this. This will give us some details to work with. And then we'll go like this. Very simple way. I have to make sure, just what I'm doing here is I'm just making sure that there's always squares, right? You always want your model to be made of quads, so shapes with 4 sides. So there are tricks and little things you can do. Oops, this turned into a triangle. I don't want this edge. Give me some. Why is it getting rid of what? Okay, let's just. Okay. So that's essentially what I'm doing. I'm just always making sure there is 4 sides to a face. And I'm just able, from that, to be able to make, the circle shape for the eyes. How malformed and used are you thinking of making that helmet? I would think it would be battered or it'd have cuts in it. Yeah, definitely. I'll be sure to add those details, but all that comes in the later phases. Like, I won't be doing that right now. That comes in the sculpting phase and stuff like that. Like, I don't do any of any really high detail stuff like that. In this phase of the modeling, right, when you're just blocking out and making the shape. So yeah, all those details and stuff come in later. So yeah, I'm just simply, once again, as I said before, just blocking out the shape of the helmet, making sure everything's right. So this here looks a little sharp, Just sort of flattening it out. Because here, if you look here, the helmet's like almost flush. Just kind of round, right? You shouldn't be able to really tell. Actually, that doesn't look too half bad. I just don't want there to be like a sort of seam there. So it's looking a little flat at the front. That's fine. I can always round it out a bit. Maybe a little thinner place between the eyes. I'm looking at my reference here, and they do appear, like, it does appear to have like circular, eye holes, and I would end up with an ellipse if I did that. I could stretch it out a bit, and I also just want, if I'm looking ahead, I want to make sure I'm looking straight into the eyes. So the eyes seem to be pretty visible from here, so I think I'll keep it as is. Maybe make it a bit teardrop shape. Man, the most impressive thing I've made in Blender is an HD donut. Yeah, you followed that tutorial too from Blender Guru. That is a classic. I think everyone has. Actually, I have not. I did the Blender Guru Anvil tutorial a while back. I was trying to learn about hard surface modeling. Didn't get very far, unfortunately. I could make this a little thinner. This is the most I'll go. And then I'll also adjust this so I get better curvature on the bottom here. So again, I don't want this to be too. Probably do this. No, it's got to be like this. And then, just trying to get that little kind of curve of the nose, because I don't want it to be too sharp. Also, this will make for a nice high poly, I think. So, yeah. And then, yeah, this helmet is relatively simple, and that's just kind of maybe a perk of it. Because, not all the helmets in the tier 3 are like super complex and sophisticated. And I consider that to be kind of a good thing, right? Some of them do have some layers and stuff to it. But overall, they all kind of come some scrappy, just, armor pieces slopped onto each other. Some have more layers than others. Although this pattern this thing does appear to be showing up a bit. I might look into that, because I still have to make one more helmet after this one, so I'm not sure if I'll just make the simple cap open face, or actually I could do the cap open face and then have this sort of design going around the top. It's a little more detailed, but it's probably doable. I'll have to look into it. I'll have to see if it's even, if it's just worth the effort or not. So, yeah, let's space this out a bit. Master Shang, how has been working on the project so far? Team still working hard during these times? Yeah, I mean, usually the amount of work being done sort of dips during school times, because I believe the majority of us are still in school, not fully adults, or not like, midlife. So, there are a bit of seasons almost to it. Like you'll see that the amount of content drops dramatically even during school seasons. But I do enjoy working on the team. It's good. It's fun. So yeah, no really concerns or complaints there, I guess. But yeah, we're making progress, slowly and steadily. Now for the back of this helmet, I'm thinking, I found there was one picture, one guy here. Yeah, I could either just make it go flat or go down a bit, I guess. And even in both these references, I guess this part kind of sags down a bit here, so I might do that. Why are you using 2.282 when 2.91 is out? I don't know. They haven't changed any fundamental modeling tools, so it doesn't affect my work necessarily. Maybe there's some cool simulation features or some new sculpting brushes, but I could update if I wanted to, but you know, I just haven't gotten around to it. But it's not like I'm really missing something. I do believe they just added like Manta Flow and a few small tools, but nothing big. So, and Blender comes out with an update pretty often, so I can't just, you know, update every single time. You know, I'll update when there's something significant that changes my workflow. I'm not sure that's leather on the concept, Ragnarok. I'm almost certain that's hair. And also in my reference, there's no. I can't seem to find, you know, leather straps on this particular type of helmet. Also, it wouldn't make sense. This is a very bowl-shaped helmet. You know, it covers a lot of the head, so I don't think you have to worry about it slipping off. So for now, I will not add leather. And I think this will kind of connect up here, maybe? Like this. And right. Okay. So it does seem to, it kind of has it's too smooth here almost, right? It goes a little sharp, right? So I can like flatten this out a bit, and even this I can go like this, so something like this even. That's good. Yeah, this helmet will take us. I think we're gonna go pretty fast on this one. Like we will get to the texturing and all of that pretty quickly. I kind of want there to be almost a little lip here though. It almost seems here he did a little shading, so that kind of goes a bit over the nose. But the problem with this model is that it doesn't really have a nose, so probably do some sort of little lip or something in the sculpting. I'll have to see. From what I've seen in the movies, you would know more than I would. The orc helmets seem overly large a lot of the time. Do you find this to be the case? I mean, it doesn't really matter. Like the difference in game, the difference between this. Well, I guess like if you were to scale out just a tiny bit, like it's not something you really care about or notice in game. Like the scale of the helmets, as long as they're not like overly tiny or overly large, I don't think that's a major contributing factor, right? I'm just trying to make, you know, something that represents this unit, something where you see this unit in game, in a video game, and you are like reminded of, or this is reminiscent of this unit in game. I'm just trying to recreate it. So like, you know, if the helmets are a bit big and loose, I don't find that to be the most important thing, I think. Also, I wouldn't say they're all too large. Like some are too big for, like some helmets are too small for some of the orcs, and some are too big, right? then there's just got to be a middle ground, I guess, and that's average, where it just fits, right? I guess that comes in with like the variation in the orc faces and bodies, but this guy looks like a vampire or something. Alright. So, yeah, I'll just get something smooth and simple around the back. And then we can get right on to sculpting even. This is a really easy helmet. Is it this one that's like flaring out? Yeah, it is. Just trying to think of a good way to make the back of this helmet here. And I'll add something around the back here, so just so it has a a bit of detail or something interesting. Add like this little ledge, a little cap, just to catch any spare swing or blade that'll strike the back of the head or the neck. Bit of neck protection. And then I'll have kind of some bolts or rivets just crudely smashed in, holding almost this second piece of plate that's been held in. I would not worry about saves. This thing will almost never crash unless I manually shut down my computer, or if it's incredibly stormy and the power shuts off, but it's not stormy. I'm not doing anything in this process that is driving my computer to insanity, so I'll save, don't worry, but there's almost nothing that can crash it given what I'm doing right now. Are you going to add different shades of the skin colors and height difference regarding the orcs? Height difference? Nope. Skin color? Yep. When I go to make the variations, you're gonna have different models for the faces, maybe some different head shapes, and for sure different textures for the face. And then I do believe we can also change the variation in the color. It's something I'm gonna have to look more into when I get around to it. Victimize will be showing me, I think, a lot of stuff, hopefully, that revolves around that, because there is a way to get a lot of variability to the faces, and I'll be adding things like maybe some piercings, some like earrings or nails, or I don't know, whatever weird things orcs and Uruks have put in their faces. Will orcs get hair in the future? Most likely. We will see what happens. Like, yeah, probably. Yes, they will get hair in the future. Can't say how long though. How long in the future. But it will happen. I think this is good. I'm just leaving a little room here as well on the back of the head in anticipation for hair, because that might not be something I've taken into consideration with the previous helmets, which is not a good thing. So there might be some clipping. So that's why I'm just being careful with that. Thank you, Arathorn. Appreciate it. Caboose from Steam? That was not me. You were speaking to Frusty. I believe he's in the chat, so You can speak with him again. Macy Ferguson, yeah. Humans do put weird things on their faces. True. Thank you, Ragnarok. I'm glad you guys like this helmet. You guys, it's cool because you guys will be able to kind of, see it here being made, and then you'll also be able to see it, when it's out in game, and you'll be like, oh man, I got to watch this being made. I know exactly where the vertices are placed. Right? Just, little insider information that only you know. All right, you know what? This is done. It's a very simple helmet. Yeah, the eyes are a little closer in the concept, but I'm just basing it off where the eyes are on this model. Maybe I'll move it a bit. Could probably bring it still closer. Yeah. I think that's good. Also want to leave a little spare room, because I don't know what other noses I'll be making. So yeah, the thing is now that I'm going to have to be doing faces after this, I have to be very considerate when making these helmets, because I have to make sure that, because I'm making the helmets first and the faces later, I have to make sure these helmets will fit all the different head types that I'm making, so that's just something I have to consider now. Will the orcs and goblins have custom animations for walking and or fighting? Also, will you guys add custom voiceovers for the orcs? No, I would say most, unlikely, they'll get custom animations. Very unlikely. That is a huge pain to do. So that is probably not going to happen, unless that is very unlikely to happen in, I would say, the next couple years. So I would almost say certainly no. Custom voices, yeah, I'm pretty sure that we have a department working on that. It's a lot. We're trying to figure out tools to make the process faster, because right now it's very slow and tedious to try to get sounds in, because we have to kind of map out every single sound in the game and find a way to replace them. So it's not easy, but that is something that is being worked on. So yeah, there is progress towards that. And Caboose from Steam, I didn't speak to him specifically. I just can't remember whose voice matches who and how many of you there are. A couple years ago, I wanted to help with doing voiceovers, but it turned out to be listening to voice files. It was all good. I helped a little with that, but still, I'm curious about the orc voiceovers. Yeah, it's the exact same thing. So instead of you listening, what we're trying to do is cut out the middleman of you just trying to listen to voices, doing voice files, because there's 40,000 of them, and instead we're trying to make the computer do it, essentially, make a program that'll sort things out for us. But it's not very easy, but there are tools that are being worked on for that. So let's apply this. Let's first of all just save, apply, gonna add, solidify. Let's reduce the thickness to 0.05. That's good. And then this is the point where I duplicate a copy. First of all, I name this Uruk Throng underscore helmet underscore. This is the third one, and then it's the highest detail. Oh, and it's the low poly. Okay, and then I duplicate this because this is just a reserve, just in case something goes wrong. And then this one I apply and I keep going with it. Ooh, what's going on here? I shouldn't have done that. That's literally what I'm talking about. And I can't even undo, right? Okay, no, it works. Okay, there we are. So, something went wrong with the mirroring, because it was not clipping. That's fine though, because I can just do, oops. remove doubles. So essentially what the problem is right here is that the mirror modifier should have joined everything at the center, because now I've separated it so there's everything separate now. I can work asymmetrically. But the middle line, there's two vertices on top of each other at each of these points, so there's almost two halves, right? I could take this half and move it away, but I want there to be joined down the middle, so I'm just gonna do that real quick. Because I know they're in the exact same spot, so I'm just gonna remove doubles, and I'll just remove vertices that are in the same spot. Doubles. Whoops. Nope. Okay, what's it called? Is it called clean up? Okay, it's here. Mesh. Clean up. There it is. Merge by distance. And that should have done it. Now, yeah. Now it works. There's... Alright, perfect. Crisis averted. And I can apply this. Yeah, perfect. Perfect. I basically just don't want that seam there, and I want everything else to be essentially smooth. Perfect. Yeah, that's exactly what I want. Okay, sick. This is working out really nice. Alright, getting a lot of message from boost from Steam. Okay. Oh, computer would be much faster if y'all get that to work. Yeah, true. This looks so good. Thank you, the Redeemer. Alright. I think that's good. And then I've applied this, so there's thickness to it now. Now is the UV unwrapping section. I don't like this part because... Oh, first I'm going to remove the faces that you see twice. So let's because what I'm going to do here is essentially there are a bunch of faces that you will never see in game. For example, because this helmet has thickness, right? There's inside faces and there's outside faces, right? Like it has thickness, right? I don't know if you can see that. Now, you're never going to ever see the inside faces of this helmet. You're only ever going to see the outside. And it takes computer power for each face that you have. And when you have like thousands of units on the battlefield, it makes a difference. So you want to optimize. So because you're never going to see those faces, I'm just going to delete them. Because there's no point of them being there. So, for example, the bowl here, underneath the head, this is never going to get seen. So why should I keep it? It's up to a certain point though, right? Because there are some faces you can see, like you can see these faces around the back here, right? So I'm going to keep those. Also, if you're looking inside the face, I'm going to keep the ones closest to the eyes. So probably this one. So I'll get rid of the... I'd say up to here is a reasonable place to get rid of faces. Oops. You can always check. Yeah. It's going to be very hard for you to see. If you see the orange, basically, it's going to be invisible there. That's basically what it's saying. In game, wherever the orange is going to be invisible. And so you can see that it was not very easy to see that. Which is what I'm looking for. Oops. And then we're never going to see any of this. Let's just check. Yeah. I also don't need this reference anymore because I don't need it. And I think I'll keep now you're almost never because you're seeing the game, the player, like the model from here, right? When you're in game, you're never just looking at it into the eyes, I guess. So once again, I probably don't need really any of this. You're never going to see any here in between the eyes. You're only ever gonna see like those two faces there. Now underneath, let's see the damage. So I'll keep this here, but you don't see this or this. Yeah, like no. So let's get rid of those faces then. Boom, we've cleared out a lot of the inside faces of the helmet. I mean, like, it'll make it a lot easier on your computers, I guess. The Redeemer, how much time do you spend together putting together a complete game? P.S. Sweden rocks. Sweden rocks. Yep. How much time? This isn't. First of all, this isn't a game. This is a mod for a game. So it's very like. There's no way we could make an entire game. It takes a lot of work making mechanics, maps, and all that. So really, all we're doing is this mod is essentially an overhaul of the units in the game so far, right? We're completely changing or adding a bunch of custom units, and we are also actually kind of sort of changing a lot of the gameplay, or like a lot of the map and stuff like that, right? That's what we're trying to work on. But that's very different from an entire game, right? Where you're making, even just having the whole combat system, right? Having that programmed and stuff, the way the AI works, and fighting and playing certain animations and this and that. It's yeah. When will we finish this? Don't know. Maybe probably still years until we finish this entire mod, but I mean, what can I say? You can still play it now, right? Like, it's still available to everyone now to play what we have, right? We're just constantly adding to it, right? So consider the game done, and we're just adding updates. Do you and the rest of the modding team take any inspiration from the Battle for Middle-earth game series? Me, not really. I don't know about the other team, or the rest of the team. I don't think much of the team plays very many games. We just sort of have a passion for the whole kind of Tolkien universe and the movies as well. A lot of our art and units are very movie inspired. That's kind of what we're basing everything off of, as close as we can to the movies. We felt those were the kind of the most accurate, or the most commonly known, right? Because I bet everyone has some sort of interpretation of what certain units should look like, but we might as well go with a global unified one. Obviously, I can't speak for the entire team, right? I'm not too sure where everyone's inspiration from the team comes from. Well, I can only give you kind of a general idea, just based on the little that I know. So right now I'm doing the UV unwrapping phase so I think a lot of you have actually seen this happen quite a few times already if you've been here for previous streams, but this is just the phase where I essentially take this 3D model and cut it up into pieces to lay out flat. That way I can put a texture on it. That's essentially what is happening here. So where these red lines are essentially seams where I'm going to cut it. And I'm just thinking of a really nice way. You don't want these seams. Like, the more seams, the worse. Because first of all, it takes a performance, and these seams will show in the texture. Like, you'll be able to see this, which it's not very pretty. It's just kind of a cut in the texture, which is not, very nice. So I'm trying to make as few seams as possible. Because the more seams, the worse. I'm just trying to think of Trello has Ferguson. Trello has all the factions. So if you don't see it on the Trello, likely it won't be in the mod. That's basically all I can say about that. In terms of unit questions, asking whether this will be available for units or factions, my basically default answer will be look at the Trello, because we have everything posted there. I don't really need this here to do this, and then I can just put it seams here, and here. Oops. And maybe some here. And then basically I have to create some sort of like rim here. Maybe I'll just go like this. This is kind of the cop-out way to do it. Oops. There we go. So yeah, I don't like the there's gonna be an ugly line. Maybe I could I don't want that just ugly line going across it. Maybe I could do a different way. Just for reference, I will show you what the seams really do. For those who are unsure, they do have a pretty profound effect, I would say. And then maybe I could do this and this just to. I think that might work actually. That might do it. Might look a little weird in the front because basically the problem I'm having here is just it's really hard to lay down a roundish helmet flat. If you take a sphere of paper, if you have like a half circle of paper, right? Just a cone or even just a cone or a semisphere, and you try to push down on it, like from the center to lay it flat, right? You'd always, even if you cut it up, right, down a line, it'd be tough to like get it to lay flat perfectly without it crumpling even just a tiny bit. That's just the whole dilemma here with what I'm doing, right? Like if you see here, imagine this portion here was a piece of paper. It's sort of half conical, and if you had this in your hand and you tried pushing it down on the table and pushing it flat, it would crumple a bit, right? And the more crumpling basically means the more warping of the texture there will be, right? But here, this is I think if you had this segment here, this would lay out pretty flat. Like it's kind of like it's almost kind of a, you have a piece of paper kind of like this. It's a little arched, but you can kind of lay it flat still, right? You're just worried about the length of this edge and the length of this edge. If these are not the same, you might have some issues. And here, I think this would lay down pretty well flat, right? It's not that curved. It'd lay down pretty flat. And this would be perfect, right? If you had a piece like this, a paper like that, you could put that down on a flat, right? That's basically how I view the whole unwrapping thing, right? Where the lines are is where it's kind of split. Because of this, I probably don't need these seams down the center because of what I've done. So less seams, the better. And then I just need to get these outer rim and these inside faces. And I'm just going to show you an example, just so you know what I'm talking about. I don't know how well you can see this, but I certainly see them pretty clear. These lines that kind of create a separation in the texture almost. It's pretty profound here, right? You can even see that pretty clearly. Even far away, right? It shows up. And so the result, that comes from essentially these red lines. Oops, am I bugged? Okay, I'm unbugged, okay. But that's essentially what's happening. If you see those red lines, right? That's what's creating it there, right? So that's what I'm just trying to avoid. Is there a seam now? I'm not sure. Okay. So yeah. So let's try to avoid those. One seam down the whole kind of dome here, that's not really noticeable. You'll almost never see that, but this one and this one, you're gonna see that for sure. But it's just kind of a, you know, what can you do about it? It has to be there. And let's okay. Let's do this and this and this. So essentially, I've just cut out this piece here, and that's gonna go down flat pretty nicely. Yeah, I think sharps almost have the same effect, because it's doing the same thing, but it's not giving you texture information. So that's why I wouldn't use sharps. Sharps basically gives you dual. From what I understand, when you mark a seam or have a sharp edge, you essentially create a normal going this way and then a normal going this way. Two normals at the edge. I wonder if there's a way I can demonstrate. I think it's like here or something. I don't remember. There's a setting. I actually really want to find it. Right here. So, from what I understand, when you have, yeah, right here. You see this sharp edge here, or this vertex essentially. You've got one normal going out this. When you have a sharp edge, you see how this one only has one normal coming out of it, even despite it being one vertex. This was also one vertex, but you have a vector coming out this way and a vector coming out this way. So when you do mark sharp, or when you have a sharp edge of some sort, then you will have two vectors coming out of it, and I'm pretty sure that just means your texture is you're gonna create a seam there essentially, or a sharp thing on the on your model. That's what my knowledge of this is. Very rudimentary. Definitely, I would talk to Victimized about it, because he knows very much. He's very knowledgeable on the subject. Very knowledgeable. But I would almost never use mark sharp. Unless you're putting seams there, like actual UV seams. I'm basically putting seams anywhere there's red, so that's why these areas are sharp. Actually, you know what? This could be fine there. Then I'd have to have this. Technically, I don't even need seams. Where there's essentially an edge leading off to nothing, this edge goes nowhere. This edge here, where there's an edge that leads to nowhere, like this, all these edges go to nowhere. I don't need seams on it. That's gonna automatically, it counts as a seam basically. So I can get rid of those. But I do need a seam here. Actually, no, I don't need a seam there, but I do need a seam here. And here. And here. And here, and here. Basically all the way around the outer edge. Except here, I don't need a seam there. Yeah, okay. And I think what I'll do is I'll just have so I'll have a seam there, and then probably just have like one seam there. I don't know which one that is, like the second one right here. Separates there, separates. Oh, I need to do this one, and this is symmetrical and good. This is done, I think. So I say we lay it out flat and see what it looks like. Oh, there's one more thing I need to do. These eyes here. Right here and here. Perfect, okay. This is good. So I'm gonna go to UV editing, going to unwrap. Now, almost certainly there's a bit of warping going on in this section here, but it shouldn't be enough. It shouldn't be, like, it's not worth it to make so many seams to make it laid out flat. So I'm not gonna do that. So let's, yeah, so have my UV here. I'm gonna make my high poly, and then I'll bake it. So let's do that. So I'm gonna duplicate it. I'm gonna rename it high poly. Also, this is done, so I can technically like save here, export FBX, tier 3. It's just gonna be named helmet 3. Selected, export, bam. So subdivision surface. This is just again, for anyone who's been here before in the previous streams, this is all just essentially repetition, right? Put my bevel, type angle, and then I do believe I already had the right angle. 40.2 is the angle I want. So there's angle here, and I want 40.2, and this will basically create sharp angles everywhere I want them. 2 segments will like highlight it extra sharp. And now it's just gonna come to sculpting. First of all, I have to make sure, yeah, this is what I'm worried about. You see, this orange haze is essentially where the low poly is, and then you can see the actual model of the high poly. It looks like you can see it's very distant, and that makes it's really weird. It's really bad, almost, I would say. So I'm just gonna take this a bit, and even just like, now I don't want to do that exactly. How does actually, that's not awful. I have to sculpt out, kind of sculpt it out, but I just kind of want these places to approach. Oops. Right. Huh. So I will have to go through and smooth all this, but I've essentially just sort of brought all the faces a lot closer to the vertices, which is something I want. It's a very brutish and not good way of doing it, but I'll smooth it out. Sharp edges there. Does look a little hammered now, but I'm gonna smooth it out. Let's see. I mean, that did a lot of the work actually, not gonna lie. So, like a fair amount actually, yeah. Oh, okay. Sick. Let's sculpt some details onto it. I'm gonna add a little lip here. I'm gonna add some rivets here, and then I'm gonna add some scratches and dents, the whole ordeal. So I'm gonna save first, so I can just load this up if anything goes wrong, and then let's go to sculpting. And dying topo, basically turning this on just lets me free sculpt, and just no problems. And then I'm just gonna smooth. Oops. Okay. First of all, mirror, and I'm gonna take my clay strokes, just sort of get some higher definition here and smooth out all these areas where I've kind of highlighted the seams that I don't really want. Just make sure it's all smooth. Essentially is what I want. Nothing really standing out. Perfect. Boom. Oops, I don't. That's too much. So yeah, what I'm doing is I'm just sort of tapping the surface because I have a brush that basically gives me more detail. Because how this works essentially is sculpting is you have faces, right? You saw all those vertices and those points and stuff on the model. Sculpting basically just adds a lot more of them and basically lets you use tools to mass move vertices, which is something you can't really do manually. You saw how I was working in like the tens of vertices, right? This isn't, we're in the thousands upon thousands of vertices, which you can't really work by hand on. And this is also why high polys are not directly just sort of usable. You know, like you can't just like sculpt whatever and then smack it into the game because it's not good for your computer. Everyone's computer would die if that were the case. So we just do this to make a high detail, and then from there we bake the details, which is just a process of putting those details into a texture, and then put it onto a model so that a low detail model that everyone's computer can enjoy peacefully. So we are on the sculpting portion. So just making sure this is all smooth. I think this is we're pretty good here. We're doing pretty good here. And now we'll start getting to some little details. Now the first thing that I'm itching to do is adding these rivets. So essentially I'm going to, there's an blob is what I want. And I'm going to go just sort of around the edge. Add these little rivets. Equally spaced, sort of. And then I'm going to smash them flat. So, almost as if it's a hammer hitting it. I've got a tool here. I'll just flatten these out for me, these pins. So, that's what I'll do. Ta-da, some rivets, and then I'm also going to, there's a little brush here. I can just kind of crease it in almost as if it's been hit kind of into the metal, so the metal's a bit creased, or a bit sunk in. I love sculpting. Sculpting is my favorite part of this whole process, and that's why I'm going to enjoy making you know, the orc faces and stuff, because I get to do basically a bunch of this, but with faces. I think that'll also be pretty fun to stream, I think. But yeah, just getting a few details in the metal, and then also I'm gonna, because these are two technically plates here, and there's gonna be a seam here anyway, UV, but let's just crease it, just to kind of highlight the fact that these are separate plates. Like this. It's not very noticeable, so I'll make it a bit more. Because if you're viewing for this helmet from far, right, you kind of want your details to be a bit emphasized, right? Because if you're just playing the game, right, you're only ever going to notice this if you're like zoomed in. So let's give it a bit of let's exaggerate it a bit almost. I think that's good. So perfect. Now I'm pulling up my reference here. So this reference obviously isn't really detailed. There's a lot of form details. Again, not very much stuff in the surface. So this is where I'm gonna have to resort to some other pictures. Now there isn't much details given on this helmet, and even just looking at the one picture I was basing it off of, right? There's not much detail really. So I'll just have to come up with some stuff on my own. So I'll say, even seems here in the reference, there's almost a bit of a lip right above the nose. So let's add that. Got a brush here. It's just a standard draw brush. For some big changes. So let's these are very rudimentary. Again, I can't stray too far from the base mesh that I have. Let's kind of smooth this out. Smooth it out more. Needs to be smooth. And smooth it out here. Just continually smoothing. Just kind of make it seamless with the metal mesh. Even smooth it out a bit at the top, and then we'll add a bit of a crease, just a tiny bit, just to show almost that it's bent in the middle a bit. And that's about the most of it. It's just a tiny little lip. I don't know how well the texture will be able to manage it, because it is a bit it's kind of really pronounced. But that's fine. And then the next thing we'll do is we'll go to scratches, and first of all we'll get some dents, or just some sort of metal wear on the edges, wherever there is an edge. It's just gonna show that there's a bit of hammering going on here. That's the entire point of this tool. And then also I have to realize that I'm in symmetric mode, so I'll have to make a bit of asymmetry, or else this it'll look pretty weird. But just, yeah, going a bit around the edges, and that was too much. Okay, every so often, going around the edge and just showing there's a bit of wear. Like if you look here, right, you can see this is the wear around the top here, around the eyes a bit. You can't see much around the base, but there is just a bit of wear, just to show that it's not perfectly smooth around the top. Even around here, you can just see sort of the edges. It's a little frayed. That's the entire point of what I'm doing right now. Okay. So that's just what I'm going to do for a bit. We are at 63 concurrent viewers. Wow. Yeah, it's always glad to see people come into the stream and stuff. It's nice being able to engage with you guys. And once again, if anyone has questions of any kind, feel free to ask. I'll be glad to answer them. So yeah, don't be nervous or shy or anything. Or if there's one thing I learned about the community, it's that they love dwarves. That is something I really learned from you guys. It's great. Dwarves are pretty awesome. And Frusty is doing them justice, so. Our new weapons plan for the Uruks wrong? As opposed to the old ones, yeah, I will be making new swords and weapons. The spears will stay the same. I know Uruk spears will stay the same because those are good and made by Alder, so we're gonna keep those. But like just general swords and shields, yes, those will be for sure changed. I'm thinking the entire unit will be remade, so likely you will see a lot of changes. Next thing I'm gonna do now. Okay, so I've gotten rid of symmetry. So yeah, no symmetry now, so I can get some asymmetrical details just so it looks a little different on either side. Personally, I would try to make the eye slits a bit more round, but the helmet looks good. Yeah, so we're a little past that phase now. You can't make major changes in the high poly because it has to be based off your low poly. So I don't like. Yeah, the concept is very round-eyed and stuff, but I couldn't achieve. Also, kind of notice the slit down the middle is narrow, so I can't follow the concept, you know, exactly, because also the orc model, for example, had a certain distance between the eyes. So also, I think a teardrop, like a tear drop kind of shape is more natural. That's what you're most likely to see in a helmet. Need some bigger hammer hits here. And then this part's definitely going to be hammered in a bit. Just to show that it's crudely hit in. Yes, Meron makes some very, very nice concepts. I'm a big fan of the concepts. They are incredibly helpful. They're such an improvement over some of the ones we've had before for a lot of the factions. So it's really great to have a dedicated and constantly active concept artist, because if you want to make a new unit and you're just sort of scrambling for photos, you got concept artist that's kind of put it all together for you, you know, who's looked into the legitimacy of the pictures and made, you know, the right looking thing for the unit. It's very helpful. Believe it or not, I don't believe, correct me if I'm wrong, Meron, but I believe that this thing you've drawn here in this helmet, that I believe that's hair, correct, right? I don't think that's leather. Also, I don't think it makes sense for this helmet exactly, considering it's a very bowl-shaped helmet, so you don't really need much straps for it. Like you'll notice the hair, I think it follows the same kind of style. Like there's hair here as well. Like this is not leather, right? So I do believe that's just hair. I'll have to add later. I'm not sure though. What does throw me off is the little, just how kind of flat the spots are there, but I do believe that is hair. I mean, yeah, hair, not leather. If you guys really want, I could find a way to incorporate some leather into the fourth helmet that I'm working on. yeah, I'd have to find a suitable helmet to do that. Don't worry, the helmet. There are also neck. I will be adding neck armor essentially, so that's not a concern of protection over the neck. There will be assets I'm making for the neck, like this whole clothing here. There's gonna be some leather and stuff. There's also gonna be some neck guards, so that's not really concerned. Also considered, I was also kind of basing the helmet a bit off of this reference here, and it doesn't seem to be much leather. Even in most of these helmets I'm looking at, there are only a few I see that have a leather strap that go underneath. So that's just not, yeah, it's not very common to see the leather strap in this faction, I guess. Even in this one where, actually there is a leather strap there. Yeah, maybe there as well. Yeah. It's not something you see very often. I don't know. But there will be neck protection. That's not a concern. Yeah, it's not a problem. Just adding some minor kind of major flat points, almost some dents. Am I planning on doing a fourth helmet? Yes, there will be a fourth helmet, so if you guys really want to, I can find a way to incorporate some sort of leather strap into the helmet, if that's something you guys want to see. So, it's definitely doable. Yeah, with this one I'm making sure that it's looking a little beat up. There's gonna be some... Oops, I messed that up. I kind of want to keep that detail there. So yeah, just adding those little kind of hammer marks or dents that you see. Philip, I agree with you. I agree. It's nice to see more and more people joining streams. You know, we have steady 60 viewers, which is pretty good. So I hope you guys are learning or something, or enjoying yourselves and learning something new. Or just having fun seeing how things are made around here. Yeah, I think this is good. Pretty bumpy. A lot of scratches now, I think. Okay. I'm gonna go pretty low in terms of detail for this. Pretty high detail, I'd say. Just add some scratches for sure around the eyeballs. Alright. Do you see what you're talking about, Maron, for the concept? But yeah, like, I'll see. We won't be added for this helmet, but there is going to be neck armor, I guess, so that'll, I would not worry about the protection of the neck. Actually, how about this front part? Actually caught a scratch there. That looks nice. We'll add some small scratches along the dome here. We're definitely going to have some different catches of the blade here. Saved the guy a few times. And maybe one here, and then one, like, long one across the top there. And one here or something. So, tiny one, tiny, along the back. Thank you, Maron. Appreciate it. So let's scratch looks a little like deep. Let's narrow it out a bit. Okay. I think this is good. This is going to be a high detail done. He's got quite a gash on the front there. That sunk in pretty deep, I think. Okay, we're good. Now, this is the part where I save, because this could have crashed my computer if I really wanted to. Now, this is the part where we bake. So because we've already laid our thing flat in terms of UV, we're good here. So let's oops, I did not mean to do that. Okay. So essentially I have to put it in the same spot. Is this my low poly? Yep. I'm gonna move this to the side because I don't need the concept anymore. Go to shading. I have my standard bake material. And I do believe I just simply go here. Oops. And then I go to here. This is where I'm going to bake. Change this to my GPU. And basically go select it to act. Yeah. Select the high poly, then the low poly. Select bake, wait a bit, and then I'll see the result. Okay, it's done. Let's check it out. Now, wow. That is perfect. We can clean up these artifacts really easily, but nice bake, very nice. Almost no problems. Minimal issues, yeah. Also, again, because the model's super simple and easy, but couldn't have asked for anything better. So let's save a copy of this, and let's do helmet 3. Oops, I kind of want to delete that one. Helmet 3. Normal save. Save. And now we can open up GIMP. Just a little easier to work with. Like, you could use Photoshop or GIMP for this, but GIMP's free. You know, support free software, I guess. Okay. And then yeah, just open. And I go to where's it? Okay, pictures. A Blender, yeah. My files are a bit of a mess, but I think I can navigate them. Okay, let's zoom in a bit. Let's find the areas of suspicion. Okay, so just go here and brush size goes up a bit and just clean up. clean up these areas, basically. Do I like Gundabad? It's my favorite orc faction. Yeah, they're pretty cool. I like Mordor more. I personally like Mordor more. I like the disorganized chaos and mess. Actually, Isengard's also really cool. The Uruks are really cool, and the Berserkers and stuff. Those guys are like savage. They're savages. And I like that in an evil faction. Okay. Yep. 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 All good. Yep. And then I have to do one more thing, which is to invert the green channel. This is just to make sure that for the shader we're using, everything works. And we'll call it inverted. Export. Yes. And I don't need to save this. Save everything here, and then we can go to here and we can create our next. Are we in the models? Nope. Okay, let's go to. Give me a second. How long is this stream going to be? Ooh, I'll probably I can't. I'll say like an hour, at most. I do have to go somewhere in like a few hours, so I can't keep this stream up for too long. We've been at it for, I believe, this stream's been running for an hour and a half now, so we have some good time on it. So I would say maybe somewhere between 30 minutes and an hour until we close up. I'll see how much I can get done on my fourth helmet, because we're basically done the third helmet right here. Okay, so I'm just gonna pull up the model here. Mordor, tier 3, bring this helmet in. Boom. Now we just need to quickly bake mesh maps. And I have also conveniently made a smart material for this exact purpose. Another question: will more champions like Aragorn and Sauron come out? Like Legolas or Gimli? We don't make champions. That's not going to be a thing in this mod. I think there are a few submods that have them. I'm not entirely sure. But the main mod will not have champions. We don't have Aragorn. Aragorn and Sauron are not part of our official mod. So, to answer your question, I don't know, because we are not in charge of submods. Those are just other people's mods. And some people have made heroes and champions. So I really couldn't tell you. So is this high tier more? I think I had a special material. It's like tier 3. So where are the T's? I'm literally gonna look it up. Oops. There it is, tier 3 mortar. They all look the same. All the materials look exactly the same. Now, yeah, right off the bat, this looks incredibly ugly, right? Because, so imagine, believe it or not, this is how I used to make the helmets. Like if you're to look at the first mortar helmets I made, I would consider this to be done, which is awful. So let's fix this. First thing, oops, I did not mean to add a fill there. Okay, first thing we gotta do is add our normal map. This is our detailed texture. Okay, see what I'm talking about, the seam here? It's really not nice to have this the seam here. You can see everywhere the seams are, right? Pretty clearly. It's really not nice. I'm really not a fan of the seam. But like, what can you do, honestly? In such a simple dome-shaped helmet, like, there's nothing you can really do, I guess. I don't know. It just makes me upset. So, now that we've added that, we gotta bake everything else off of that, just to get better details. Oh shoot, also what I should have done is this. So it's more crisp. There we go, that looks a lot better. Now our helmet looks a little bit better. Once again, I really don't like that seam. I wonder if there's a way to fix that. Maybe... Yeah, I'm not a fan. I'm trying to find a way to, there we go. That's what I needed. That looks a lot better. I'm actually going to do that on the other helmet. Wow, that really makes a difference. Okay. That completely fixed it. That seam is almost invisible. Sick. And wow, the zervits are not popping. Nice. I'm very happy with the way this turned out. Now we're going to add just a little general kind of bump to the surface, just so it looks a little more interesting, because it looks a little flat just on the top here, so let's do that. I'm going to add a fill layer. I only want to change the height. Then I'm going to add a grunge. So grunge is just an overall kind of texture. Let's see how grunge dirt looks. And then let's obviously ramp it down a fair amount. Let's go like... How much dirt? Like, let's just say... Only ever so slightly, just the material itself. That looks too much, that's too much. It's so fine. Okay. Now it's got a little bump to it. Maybe even, what if we also change the color a bit? No. Okay. I think that's essentially a finished helmet. And also, I like this the way the little lip came out. It actually kind of worked, which is really sick. So first of all, we're just gonna save this Uruk. It's just gonna be this, but 3. And yeah, it's saved. I'm gonna export it. Just kind of get this done with. Let's find. Okay. Tier 3, helmet 3, and select, and export. Okay, that's technically a finished helmet. Let's go back and fix the second helmet then. Save. And here's the second helmet. So can we see all three together? I can't show it to you side by side, like with materials. but I can show you just, I can go through them really. So you saw the third helmet, this is the second one, and let's fix these seams I was complaining about earlier. I knew about this, the total triplanar versus okay, and then I gotta go down here. It's not perfectly fixed, but it still makes a pretty big difference. Nowhere near as obvious as before. It's a tiny seam, but like it's a lot better. Oh, okay. Yeah, like from far away, that's not, you can't really see it, which is really good. So this is the second helmet then that you're seeing, which I like. I'm a fan of this one. Let's save this. I believe I've already exported this. Let's export. Okay, and then let's open the first one. Let's go save. First one. Not very many seams here. I think I was pretty smart with my seams placement, so it's not very noticeable, so I'm not going to do triplanar. Thank you, Victimize. Thank you. Yeah, this one making sure I'm following legitimate references this time. And I'm trying to pick as well just the general helmets instead of, I believe with the old tier 3, the helmets that I picked were really they looked cool, but they were also they didn't represent the general unit. Like it was very kind of special helmets, and you kind of, I guess, don't want that considering you only have so many variations. So you kind of want the most general helmets to match the entire just kind of basic unit. So here's the first helmet. So yeah, basically there's this one. There's this one. And then our most recent one that you guys witnessed the creation of today, this one. So, I think that's solid 3 helmets done. I believe now we can go back to Blender and work on a 4th. Thank you guys. The team just came in all at once. Everyone from the team came at once. And I appreciate it. Alright, so let's hide these. Yeah, okay. And then we'll bring back. And now let's decide what we'll do for the 4th one. So I don't know if I'll do this one. It seems this one is kind of pretty similar to this one, and I also want the last one to be open face, like because this one kind of covers the eyes and nose a bit. This one kind of covers the eyes a bit. This one's open face, and I want the 4th one to be also completely open face. So don't know if I'll go with this one. I would like another one to be very simple. Maybe this kind of cap style, because we haven't done one that's like that goes kind of just flat out, kind of from the sides here. I'll try to find a mix of between this kind of helmet, but I don't want this big prominent horn because that sticks out too much. So I kind of want that kind of helmet, but we'll look for a cool detail that we can add to the helmet that makes it, sort of unique, but not too boring. So let's just look at our references here and see what we can find. Maybe some just sort of plate that's on the helmet. This helmet is good. We could do this one, I guess. Huh. So do we want the ones with the spikes? You think the spike is too much, or this one shows quite a bit actually? I don't know. Should I go with this one? What do you guys think? You think I should One with leather out the back would be cool. I'm hesitant to do that. First of all, I'm worried about clipping with hair if we are gonna add hair later, because I'm sort of trying to make these helmets with consideration there's room at the back for hair. So leather in the back, I don't know how that would mess up with the clipping, but yeah, spike is too much. That's what I was thinking. Yeah. Yeah, everyone, I think, so the general consensus seems to be open face, and we'll kind of split on the spike, whether we should have a spike or not. Works with the axe at the front, right? This one? That's a good mix between, it kind of has what we want, open face. It's got that kind of side thing that covers, and it's got some sort of plate here that we can't really see on the front that adds a little bit of just sort of detail almost, just a little bit of something that stands out just a tiny bit. Yeah, we could go with that one, I think. So something sort of like this, but we're not gonna have the spike. We'll have a plate that just kind of a little nose guard. All right, we're gonna go with this one then. Even looks a little bit kind of like this guy. It does seem to be a very general helmet, and we'll have a nose guard. Yeah, so we're not gonna go with the spike. We'll have this part here, and so he does seem to have a little kind of spiky things coming out of the side of his helmets. It's almost like similar a bit to this one. Yeah, we'll go with this guy. So he's gonna have a little ridge on the top. I'm gonna look at this one. Where is it? This one for the details on the helmet here. So we're gonna have, it's gonna be kind of attached here, this metal plate here. So we're gonna have rivets along here, some piece that goes up front here, and then a nose guard of some sort. And then we'll have the ridge design on the top. So we'll have an amalgamation of the two. So let's do that. So how much time do I think I'll go until for about 30 more minutes. So we'll get like a fair amount of the low poly done, but then after that I'll probably end the stream. So let's go with that for now. We're gonna get like a mix between those two elements. So once again, since the beginning of the stream, we're gonna do the exact same thing. And right. Same thing. Same base start. It's always the same for helmets. Very nice like that. I'm telling you right now, this chest plate, it's going to be a pain. This is going to be a pain to make. But we'll figure it out. Like, the helmets are so, I love making the helmets. This chest plate is going to be painful. Also, we're going to work our way up. So like in terms of plans for this unit, once we finish the helmets, like after so next stream we'll probably finish the helmet and maybe start the tunic. I'll have to do a bit of preparation for that because it's going to have to be a Marvelous Designer to make that tunic, and I'm not very good at Marvelous Designer. I'm very new to it, so I also don't want to bore you guys when I'm doing that. So I'm gonna have to be following like video tutorials, and I'm gonna be learning and stuff, Marvelous Designer. So there might be a bit of a break between streams due to the fact that I should do a bit of learning beforehand, because my Marvelous Designer is very primitive, my Marvelous Designer knowledge. So that's just the whole reason for that, because because what I've done essentially before is I started with the breastplate and then made the tunic after, which is a very bad idea. Right? You want to work your way inner to outer, right? You make your tunic and then you make your chestplate off your tunic, and then you make the net, like the whole neck thing out of the reason the helmets work so well is because they're just kind of their own thing. So I'm gonna have to make this tunic, and then I'm gonna have to make this chainmail here, the hauberk, right? And then I have to make all the armor after that. And the thing is, I'm not very good with cloth. I've only really started actually like deciding to do cloth recently. So that's what I'm just trying to let you guys know a bit in advance. So there will be a bit of delay, I think, between the streams for me to get a bit of marvelous designer practice, so that I am ready for the streams. We can just kind of work on it. So I will not be making this tunic. Like I probably could do the tunic on stream, but I don't know how good it would look, right? But yeah, this chestplate is going to be a pain. I'm just saying that in advance. Oh, you should see the one in game. It looks pretty awful. But and then we'll have to make two variations of it, right? Because these two are like slightly different, I believe. Yeah. I'm only making these two chestplates, by the way. There's not going to be... Are these the same? I think these two are the same. I might go with this one. So I'll do this one, the second one, and the fourth one. Because this one I like the spiky of it. I like the spikiness. So I won't make this one. So these are the two chestplates I'm making. And then shoulders are all going to be the same. Shoulders, there's almost no variation in the shoulders. Even if you look at the other concepts. Like the armor is generally the same, mostly for shoulders. It's this kind of weird spiked plate, right? Very uniform there. Who would have thought? Right, almost on all of them. So no variation for the shoulders. Bracers, I'll have to look. Yeah, maybe like 2 or 3 variations. Maybe one solid metal one of this 2 segmented one. And then one very segmented. We'll see. We seem to have, yeah, I think my first bracer was pretty accurate. There was this, I was basically making this reference. There was some weird engraved details on it. Maron, yeah, my job, yeah. I think this piece in general is quite difficult to make. Like even among most factions, I can't think of maybe the elves have that really difficult chest plate where with almost like the bands of plate overlapping each other. But in between all of the units we've made, I think this is in the mod. This is a pretty difficult piece to make right. So that will be where most of the time is spent. Honestly, when you think of, at least for me, when I think of tier 3, I always think of this chestplate, this unique chestplate, right? It has to be done right. Right, just look at the details on that, even just the little spikiness. It was very well done by Weta Workshop, so it will be hard to recreate, but it's got to be done right. And tassets, almost all tassets are the same, I think. I've seen this tasset, yeah, very often, so there won't be much variation on that. I think I got them right the first time as well on the first unit. Just the material is a little off. So, yeah. And then, yeah, for sure just a chainmail skirt of some sort. And the cloth, and yeah. Greaves are not that hard. Like, we're pretty golden, I think. We'll work through it slowly. So, let's get back on the helmet. So first thing to do is just incline it 15 degrees back, or let's go 10 degrees back, as normal. Scale it down, bring it together. Scale it down, bring it together. Scale it down, position it properly. Scale it on the X, and now I wonder, okay, Victimized, if you're still here, I have a question for you. I do have a question. Because I'm almost certain this unit is going to cover the ears. But I know we have a variation of this. Okay. We'll figure it out. Okay, I think this is good. Actually, this one needs to be a little closer to the front of the face, I think. So it's just very brutish manner. Just grab this a little bit forward. Just a random question. When I run Attila, the game have become laggish, and I got a new PC, but I can run Warhammer 2 fine. Is there a patch to fix that so I can enjoy the mod better? There is no such patch that exists. That I can tell you the reason why it's happening. It's because so essentially what I'm making is the high detail. There's things called LODs, which are level of details, and every model has multiple LODs. So the farther you zoom out, the lower detail your model will automatically make it, so that you can you know, enjoy the game from zoomed out really far away. But the problem with that, now the thing is, making LODs, someone has to do it, right? Someone has to take the model and cut down the number of faces while keeping the shape, and that takes a lot of time for every model that you make. So we don't really have very many people making LODs, so that's something that has to come later in the process when we maybe sort of done making things and stuff. We'll have to go back or get more LOD artists now. I think a lot of interns that we have usually do LODs, but that's usually the culprit. That's usually the problem. It's simply LODs, and it's just not something we are working on right now, as far as I'm concerned. So yeah, there are a few tricks we use to make sure to kind of keep performance you know, high, but normal game too. In that case, I don't know. What I'm saying should only apply for the mod. If you are lagging in the mod, then that is probably the reason. But if it's normal, if it's vanilla Attila, then I'm not sure what the issue is. So let's just bring this down really. Yeah, then I don't know what to tell you. This looks almost a bit Egyptian almost. That's pretty funny. Yeah, let's look at that. Looks like Cleopatra's hair. Just like stereotypical ancient Egyptian queen hair. It's amazing. Okay. Then it kind of curves in a bit. But this change has to be almost instantaneous. Yeah, no problem, Akasumi. I don't know what to help you. You might have to look at maybe some sort of subreddit or something, I don't know. And yeah, okay. Yeah, my Attila on vanilla, even with the mod, my Attila runs pretty well, I think. But I also do run it on like pretty low graphics. Like I don't run it on very high settings. So that probably explains it. Like I have medium or something. And I've got I have a GTX 1070, so it's by no means an old card. So that's very true. Attila does have a pretty poor optimization. No, I do believe it is just a tad bit smooth. Oops. Well, for me, I just have my graphics setting on sort of medium. You know, you run, yeah. That medium is probably the golden spot. I mean, to each his own, right? In terms of what settings they run and stuff, but that's just what I have it at. So yeah, you can play around with the settings just for graphics. Maybe there's like only one or two graphic settings, like maybe like anisotropic, like filtering or whatever. I don't know, like post processing or anti-aliasing. I know that takes up a lot of performance from your computer. So there's just little things like that that might make the difference. Okay, so this is really weird and flat at the back, which should not be the case. If I'm looking at this from above, I kind of want it equally distributed, right? So it's gotta be like this. And this has to be a bit in the middle. So hey, question, will these tier 3 sword and shield Uruks have different weapons like swords, axes, and maces? Since we do see them using a variety of weapons in the movies. That's a really good question, actually. Well, because the actual, I'm pretty sure it's a sword and shield unit. First of all, from concept, but also we do have tier 3 is split up into tier 3 spears, archers, and throng. Right, we have like Uruk throng, Uruk spears, and Uruk archers. I'm pretty sure, just because of the way the animations work, I think it's a little difficult to put different types of weapons into the same type of unit, because there are animations for axes and there are animations for all these weapons you're talking about. It can be kind of weird to see some of the kind of sword animations while the person has an axe. So I would, my best guess would be, I'll see when I get to it, but my best guess would be it's probably going to be just a sword and shield unit, but I'll be sure to make the swords vary. But tier 3 is split up into different kind of, like, tier 3 is split up into, like, you know, different units with different weapons, so that's sort of my justification for you there. So I'm probably going to go for 15 more minutes, and then I'll close the stream, just because I have to go do a thing, but been pretty productive so far, I think. Gotten a fair amount of progress out. This is reaching really far back, I'll bring this back in. I don't know, I just can't, for some reason, get this shape right. I don't know what it is. It's really bugging me. Okay. Will you be redoing the weapons and shields for tier 3? Yes, tier 3 for sure. Tier 2? Probably not. Tier 2 might have some armor redone. I wouldn't mind going back and redoing tier 2 armor. But, not weapons. That's not gonna happen. I'm really worried about the clipping for this. Damn it. We'll see what happens. Screw it. We'll go back and fix it later if there's a problem with it. Yeah, this is a really broad helmet, and it's all just because of the ear. Okay. I'm not gonna lie, guys, I'm not as big of a fan of this one's low poly is not coming out the way I exactly would have thought, but I can't really say this all I'm speaking too early, I guess. Let's get this nose piece going. I will say this soundtrack is very nice right now. It does seem to be almost going straight down, but I'm not gonna follow that exactly. I'm gonna get like a simple sort of just. It's gonna go down quite quick. Something like this. It's gonna get pretty thin, I think. Way too sharp. Gotta make sure there's also some room for other different types of orc or Uruk heads, because that will be something done in the future. And I'm gonna widen it out, I think. At the bottom. Maybe something like this. And yeah. Once again, I'm gonna be a little considerate for different types of faces. Okay. This all seems a little wide. I think I need to make it entirely thinner still. I should slide over a bit maybe. And then what I'll also have is, because I'm going to essentially separate literally, I think in this case I might even just have this piece extruded, really. Let's see what happens. Okay, so if I go like this, I go like this, and I go here, I go here. Oops. Orcs are probably a pain. Know the feeling, stay with 3D for some years and avoid often get on. Yeah, you know, it just you just have to kind of, I guess, keep going with it. I don't know, like things start coming naturally later, I guess. Okay, wow, this is not good, right? I need to undo all this. Okay, let's first of all save. Orcs are probably a pain in the, because you need more variation in the unit models to make them look like the orcs. Yeah. And that is, once again, something I will be working on. I know that's very, very, very highly requested. So, I will be getting on that eventually. But it might be sometime. Well, it'll be after this unit, really, I guess. After I finish this unit. So maybe sooner than you think. I'm just finding a way to maybe just simply extrude this piece. I could just, yeah, literally just rip this out and then join it back together. I think I can do that. And let's honestly just join these. Like, if I'm gonna make this a separate floating piece above it, and then like, there's no point in doing that. Oops. Right, like I can just have that, and then I need to basically get the curve. So it seems to like kind of curve in, then plateau at the top. I'm not sure. So it's kind of hard to see, but I can get that curve for sure. Like this, and I want to slide this up a bit. Something like this. You're doing a great job. Keep it up. Thank you. Appreciate it. Okay. I don't think that's looking terrible. Maybe we can drag this down a bit. This little nose piece. Actually, no. Keep it here. Right. This can go down a bit, I think. Oops. Like that. Alright. And then there's gonna be a ridge on the top, so it's like, damn it, I don't like the way that's maybe, oh, I know what I can do. I can do this. And like this. This would be my cop-out way of getting my ridge that I want. This tool I'm using, the knife tool, is a very crude tool. And just making sure I always have quads. That's just basically constantly what I'm doing. Now that I have this extra piece here, I can like add a little bit of detail. And almost there. I'll end the stream after this final feature is done, essentially, which is just basically the ridge here. So let's do this ridge. So there isn't going to be much of a ridge here, but the ridge will come out here. And it really only comes in after that, it goes way there. Huh. There's something off with it. It'll have to be something I fix next time. First of all, let's save. See, maybe I think it's just purely that it's too wide, and I only did that because of the ears. Because this, yeah, we have a version of the head with the ears folded back. That's what I'm basically taking into consideration. So this ear, like, it's not actually gonna clip like this in game. But even just keeping that into like consideration, it still feels really wide. So I'll have to figure out what I can do, or maybe just find a way to import in that version of the head with the ears folded back so I can kind of see it. But yeah, they will be folded back, but I'm just trying to put that into consideration because I have that model, but I don't. Like, it's in game. Huh. Regardless, I think I'm gonna have to call it there. Most likely, because I do have to go do a thing, but so yeah, basically today we got this helmet finished up and game ready, essentially. Well, not really game ready, but you know, all textured up and good. So all that's left essentially is what in the next stream what we would we'd maybe, yeah, I said we would finish this helmet. I might actually just finish this helmet on my own time and then show you what it looks like later, but probably next stream will be Marvelous Designer, and that'll be the cloth, and it'll be maybe a learning experience for both of us. I'll have to figure out how to, how to simulate like the belt and whatnot, getting the folds into certain areas, right? So it won't be easy. But alright, so let's close this down. Alright, thank you guys for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed and learned a thing or two. Yeah, I'll see you guys next time. I don't know when the next time I'll be streaming. Maybe it won't. Maybe not tomorrow, but possibly the day after tomorrow. Like tomorrow I could do some catching up, some learning. But yeah, I'm not sure who will be streaming next. Then we might have Fruski possibly, or Brown. We haven't really decided yet. But I will try to stream this maybe the day after tomorrow. So Wednesday will be my goal. Anyway, enjoy the rest of your day or night, and have a good one.